All right, so the Spurs are struggling, okay? But we're going to try to find some positives in the last few games.
You are Locked On Spurs, your daily San Antonio Spurs podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hey, welcome back to Locked On Spurs. We're doing the Locked On NBA Network. I'm your host, Jeff Garcia, Spurs writer for Kins 5 San Antonio. Glad to have y'all back, and happy Wednesday, everybody. Hope you're all going to get through the rest of the work week. We'll get you through it right here on Locked On Spurs. As always, subscribe to Locked On Spurs, wherever you get your favorite podcast, iTunes, Spotify, Kins 5 Plus app. You know where to go. Go subscribe right now, and also subscribe to the Locked On Spurs newsletter. If you're on YouTube, it's in the description below. Click on that link. Literally says LO Spurs newsletter. Go click on that link. Have fun with it. Get it for free. It hits your email inbox every single day. What are we talking about today? You can see on your screen. Look, I get it. It's the learn or losing streak. It's bad times for the Spurs. They're getting thumped in the third quarter. They're getting thumped in the second half. But believe it or not, there are actually some positives in the last 3 games, the losing streak, even going a little further back, 5-10 games. There are some signs that the Spurs wheels are not completely coming off. We're going to be focusing on that. And then catch up some Spurs news. It's been a while since we've done that. From Stephon Castle getting invited to the dunk contest to a report coming out of France as the Spurs are out there that Pop will be back this season coaching. We're going to discuss that and more in just a few seconds. But today's episode is sponsored by Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, use code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off your first purchase. All right. So, yeah, the Spurs are, tripping up and down right now. They're not playing a complete game. We've been beating that horse for the last 2 episodes of Locked On Spurs, throwing out solutions for them. What is going on? Looking at the horrific numbers in this losing skid. But as I said earlier, there are some positives, and I'm not the only one who's seen them. Manu Ginobili, he spoke with friend of Locked On Spurs, San Antonio Sports Star, The Blitz with Jason Minix and Jonah Reinagel. He said, that it does suck. Yes, seeing this mess up right now the Spurs are going through sucks. But there are some positives that he even noted. We're going to be discussing that and more. Let's go to bring in our guest. He is back, everybody. Let me see if I can bring him in here. Let's see here. Where is he? There he is. Matt Guzman. What's going on, Matt?
Hey, Jeff. Thanks for having me. I'm glad to be back. It's cold where I'm at, but we're keeping warm inside at the moment. So
that's good. That's good. I know you kind of skip back and forth between Texas and Missouri, but comparison to Missouri and San Antonio right now, not even comparable. Not comparable.
No, I did see. San Antonio, I heard got a little bit of snow. Maybe not a lot, but a little bit.
Yeah. So look, you live in Missouri. I used to live in Michigan and New York City. We know what snow is. This ain't nothing. I'm out there in this T-shirt right now, like, woo, let the sun come in. Let the sun come in. Everybody, Matt Guzman, he is a writer for Spurs on Sports Illustrated. Make sure to follow him on X at MattGZMAN. Do that right now. So why is Matt here? We're going to be discussing the positives of Matt. And so I told you before we hit the recorder button here, we've been beating the Spurs heads over and over again the last 2 episodes saying, you're doing this wrong. You're doing this wrong. The numbers show this. And here are some solutions we could do. We've talked about going back to the original lineup, commitment to defense. So we've been kind of bashing the Spurs of late. So we're going to try to be a little more positive on this episode of Locked On Spurs. And like I said, Matt, we get it. I get it. You get it. The listeners and watchers get this. It's not a good time for the Spurs of late. 0-3 losing skid. They go on like 1 out of 4 in the last 5 games. So it's not been rosy, but there are some positives. And let's start off with, believe it or not, they actually are competitive, at least to start the game. It's not a complete disaster from jump to the end of the buzzer. Matt, they are competitive. We'll get into some numbers in a minute, but at least they're coming out with the commitment to play well. It's just things fall apart. So at least they're starting games right. Your thoughts?
Yeah, absolutely. And I guess we talked about it a couple weeks back about, how far along are the Spurs in their ultimate rebuild, the fact that that's still going on. It's pretty evident as far as, not playing a full 48-minute game. That's one of the things they're really going to have to hone in on as the years and the seasons progress. But like you said, they're starting out strong. They're keeping up, and by halftime, a lot of times they're in these close games, even against teams like Denver or against teams like the Bucks or the Heat or the Grizzlies, whatever it might be. And so I think, to me, that shows that they're on that right track. Maybe they're not fully there yet, but they are, starting games the right way, which, have half the blueprint figured out. Now they just have to look at, what are we doing of games that we're not doing at the end of games, and how do we make those match?
Yeah, right now look, I know there's 4 periods of basketball. You got to play 48. They're playing maybe 1.5-ish quarters in this losing skid. But to go into some numbers here, in this losing skid, so we're looking at the last 3 games, Matt. Their offensive rating ranks 8th in the NBA at 117.1, and defensive rating ranks 7th in the NBA at 100. That's good for a net rating of 17.1. Again, that's only in the first period alone within the third period. So you can see they come out with some competitive spirit. It's not like they're dejected or like they're throwing the towel immediately. We look at the second quarter. Again, a positive is the defense still holds strong. Now, it's mind-boggling, Matt. When you go to first to second period in the losing skid, offensive rating just plummets. As earlier I said, they rank 8th in the NBA in offensive rating in the first period. Within the 3-game losing streak, they plummeted 22nd in the second period to 106.8. But the defense still holds strong, at least for 2 quarters. 110.5, that's good for 8th in the NBA within the second period. So the defense is still holding strong. And ultimately, Matt, if you're going to look for an identity for this Spurs team, I kind of lean towards defense this season. I think that's likely where they're going to win games. Your thoughts?
Absolutely. It's pretty self-explanatory as far as the reason that they're good at defense, with Victor down low. And then they've got guys like Jeremy, who's been, back and forth this season on injuries. But when he's in the game, it's clear that that's kind of what they hang their hats on. Stephon Castle is a great defender. Even Julian Champagny has kind of stepped up his defense, and they talked a little bit about that. And so I think it's one of those things where, it's going to vary from year to year. And if this season it's defense, then next season, they hope that it maybe can become the offense, as Victor continues to find his groove, and Devin Vassell hopefully takes another step forward. It's just going to be about kind of, making it a complete game and not just all defense or all offense, the way it kind of has been the last couple of seasons.
Yeah, and we keep on looking for silver linings in the bad last 3 games, last 5, 10 games. There are some. And another one is assists. They're actually pretty good. They still got some good assist numbers. So we'll look at what happened against Miami in the last game they played before the Paris game start. I got a note here. Here we go. Yeah. Against Miami, the Spurs handed out 28 assists. That extended their all-time record with at least 20 assists in a game to 182 straight games. They're actually in the top 10 when it comes to facilitating at 28.5 per game. So they're still passing the ball around. They're still trying to get some ball movement going, trying to share the wealth. Wemby's not being a black hole. Devin's not being a black hole. Chris Paul, obviously, he's the main facilitator for this team. He's doing his job. So, again, there's a signs of commitment. They're trying to get everybody involved. Team play, according to the numbers, and we're looking at facilitating / assists. It's there. They're trying to get people involved. Matt, your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, that was one of the biggest things about, bringing in Stephon Castle and pairing him with Chris Paul. And I know Chris Paul is probably sick and tired of hearing about it, how much he's been in the floor for Castle, because he likes to say, that he gets equally as I guess he improves and he learns just as much from Castle as he imparts on Castle. And so, pairing the two of them together has been really good to watch this season, because they're going to set themselves up for whenever Castle takes the reins, and now he can become, a primary facilitator, but also somebody who can kind of take it himself and score. I think having Chris Paul around has been huge for the Spurs as far as, getting that ball movement going. Harrison Barnes as well, especially because he tends to be in the corner. And when they hit him out to the corner, he either takes that shot or he swings it again. And they, the cycle continues. They have Vic down low in the post. So they have the weapons, they have the pieces to, have such good ball movement on kind of on all cylinders, which is, good that they're actually using that. And we're not sitting here saying, well, we have Harrison Barnes and Chris Paul. Like, where is this ball movement coming? Or why is it not, why is it not a more prevalent part of their game? So it is good that they're kind of, playing to their strengths in that regard.
Yeah, and they got no choice. They also, as well, Victor can't do it all himself. So you're going to have to spread the ball around, whether it be Devin, more on him in a bit. Castle, again, more on him in a bit. There are, signs, at least a commitment to team ball there. It's not just give it to Victor and let him work. It's sharing the ball. So at least they're trying to generate that as well. Now, some numbers here, Matt, I'm going to give to you. Again, it's not complete doom and gloom despite a 3-game losing skid. And you know what, Matt, to think about it, I would be okay with a 3-game losing skid if they were competitive. They're just getting crushed This is not like an ordinary losing skid. You're just getting stomped in the second half. But again, we're trying to focus on the positive right now. So let's go look at that right now. Now, sticking with assists, Matt, in the last 10 games, their assist percentage is fifth in the NBA at 67.7%. And over the last, I got it here we go, last 5 games, it's 10th at 65.2. So that's good for 10th in the NBA. So they're still top 10 when it comes to assist percentage, moving the ball around. So that's a really good sign there that they're trying to do something on that court. So you got strong starts. You got defense that holds for the most part, at least for a half. Well, we'll ignore the second half, for now. And then you see them trying to share the ball as the numbers show. So again, signs are there that are positive. Now, but before we go to break, Matt, we got to talk about the play of Stephon Castle. He's been pretty impressive despite the losing ways right now for San Antonio. Matt, your thoughts?
Yeah, and I actually got a chance to talk to him about it to the second Grizzlies game. I think he scored 20 plus in both of those matchups. Obviously, they both kind of ended similarly, but and so I think something that he said is he's really just taking what the defense is giving him, and so maybe that translates to teams that play with faster pace. Are focused on some of the other players like Victor or like Harrison Barnes or Julian Champagne, who can put up a quick three. Yeah. They're kind of focused on those guys as far as, these guys are going to push the pace. We need to watch them. And Castle kind of, as calm and collected as he is, it almost seems like he flies under the radar. And at 20 points. And so, but, he was very, very receptive. He just said, I'm doing what I can, whatever the defense gives me and kind of taking my shots. And he said, I know that they're watching you guys. And so, any chance I get, I want to get the ball in my hand so I can help you guys out. And so, yeah, he's been impressive to watch, and it's good to see that even in this losing skid, he's one of the factors that has kind of been helping their case a little bit.
Absolutely. You, myself, we're not the only ones who are seeing Stephon Castle's play despite the losing ways for the Spurs of late. Manu Ginobili, yes, Spurs great Hall of Famer. He spoke with San Antonio Sports Stars, The Blitz, and he weighed in, and he did openly say, yes, it does suck right now. He goes, but he focused on the positive. Here's what I have to say. I got a quote here. He goes, we are thrilled. Now, when he says we, don't forget everybody, he worked for the Spurs as kind of a player development guy. So he goes, we are thrilled that with what Stephon Castle is doing on the court. So Castle, that is, gets the stamp of approval from the Spurs, stamp of approval from Manu. So you like seeing what he's doing. I'm just going to pull up some numbers here. But with Castle, though, it's good because before I get the numbers here, Matt, because we saw him kind of hit up kind of a slump, but of late he's kind of kicking up again. So what do you think? You think that was just a sophomore slump there, or just again getting used to bench starting role kind of mess right now?
Yeah, I think it's just a mixture of the I guess a combination of you can't start strong and then continue that all 82 games unless you're just insanely talented, insanely ridiculous. Castle is all of those things, but it's not surprising that he had a little bit of a fallback. But he's coming out of that. He kind of took that between that part of it, and then also rotating between the starting minutes and the bench minutes. He was just trying to kind of figure it out, I think, and it's good to see that he's coming out of it. He's kind of taken some lessons from, I think, those days where he didn't shoot so hot or he didn't finish it well. And he's kind of applied that to what he's doing now, and he's kind of back to where he was at the beginning of the season, if not better. Now that he's got a little bit of a few games under his belt already, and he's really progressing nicely. And I think the Spurs have every right, or should be, I guess, very thrilled and very pleased with what he's been able to do.
Yeah, looking at the last 3 games for Castle within the losing skid right now, he's averaging 19 points per game, 3.7 rebounds, 3 assists in about 28 minutes per game. He is shooting about 50% from the field. And 81% shooting from the free throw line. Let's see what else numbers we got. He's attempting about 4 3-point shots a game. He's making about 1, 31% shooting from the 3 line. So turnover percentage did pick up a little bit. He was kind of hovering around 1-ish, but now it's come up to nearly 3, 2.7. So obviously that would be cleaned up. But nevertheless, he is doing good. He's even giving you at least 2 fast break points during the Spurs losing skid. All in all, good signs from Castle. So, there were some first kind of volley positives despite the Spurs kind of just slumping right now. But are there more? Believe it or not, there are more signs. And Manu Ginobili also weighed in on somebody else, too, on the roster. We're talking with Matt Guzman. He's with Spurs on Sports Illustrated. Follow him on X at Matt Guzman. You want to do that right now. But first, we're going to be talking about game time.
I love going to live events, whether it's sports, music, theater, or comedy. One of my favorite memories was attending a concert last year. The energy and excitement, unforgettable. Now, Game Time has made it easier to get tickets to your favorite events with their new feature, Game Time Picks. This feature filters out the fluff, so it just shows you the incredible deals on great seats, so you don't have to waste time searching through thousands of tickets. But personally, I was looking for some tickets to an upcoming game. It was a Spurs game, and I started using the Game Time app. Well, with Game Time Picks, I found amazing deals that I could even see the views from my seat before buying. They had a super deal. That was particularly impressive. They offered up great seats at unbeatable prices. Plus, the app's all-in pricing shows the total cost up front, no surprise fees at checkout. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, use code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Create an account. Redeem code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off. Download Game Time today. What time is it? It is game time.
What's up, guys? This is KG Tang, voice of Sanami Shinizugawa and Demon Slayer, and you're watching Locked On Spurs with Jeff Garcia.
We're back right here with Matt Guzman. He's with Spurs on Sports Illustrated. Follow him on X at Matt Guzman. Matt, I wish you were in town to go to that Comic-Con I recently hosted this past weekend. I think we would have loved that.
I really wish I could have been there. I saw the picture you sent me. It seems like there were some get-ups over there. It's awesome.
Yes. Yeah. And Matt, when I remember when I talked to you about that, and I was telling you, like, yeah, it really is what you see on TV or when the parodies of Comic-Cons, And on the 5th page of the comic, and you said this on the 3rd panel, I had a few of those. I had to tell the fans, okay, I know you're excited, but keep it on my question, So it was fun though, Matt. Maybe one time you'll be able to come out and check me do my nerd. So watch me do my nerd action here in San Antonio. Again, follow Matt on X at Matt Guzman. So we're looking at positives right now. Yes, Matt and I, we're not dumb. We know it's bad right now. Obviously it's negative, and we get that. But we're trying to shed some light, the silver lining around the losing ways for the Spurs. Now, Devin Vassell, he's been putting up some good numbers. It just sucks that they're in losses, but he's been playing well. And I want to go back to that Miami game. If you give me a few minutes here. He scored, I think, about 20 points-ish. I guess Miami, I'll pull it up right here. Here we go. So, he scored 20 more points against Miami, right? So there you have. But he has a streak right now of scoring at least 20 points or more in 4 straight games now. So he seems to be finding his rhythm a bit. And by the way, he shot 23 points. I'm sorry, he made 23 points against Miami. He shot 8 for 20 in that game. Not bad for a guy who's recovering from foot injury, bone bruises, all that's just been banged up. So at least of late, he's being consistent in a good way, not a consistently inconsistent Matt. He's being good. We'll see what happens in the Paris games. But, hey, he has a streak of scoring 20 or more points. Spurs need that complementary piece. At least he looks like he could be that right now for Wemby. Your thoughts?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's been something the Spurs have been waiting to see for quite a while. And so to see him kind of find a little bit of a rhythm and start hitting the shots that he's supposed to be hitting, it's been great for him. I think he's talked to the media quite a few more times recently, meaning he's had quite a few more good games. And so, whenever he's hot, whenever he's on his game, he's a very reliable scorer. And for a team that, like we were just talking about, with so much defense, it's great for them to have pieces that can contribute on the offensive end more than the defensive end sometimes. Victor can be like that. Devin Vassell has potential to be like that. And I guess as of late, he definitely has been, which has been a very positive thing for this team that needs some positives, to say the least.
Yeah, and we're providing the positives right now, Spurs fans, because I know it's been brutal of late. But again, looking at what Devin has been doing in the 3-game losing skid, 21.7 points per game, 3.3 rebounds, 3.3 assists in about 33 minutes. And he started all 3 games, so that's lending to that. He's shooting about 48% from the field. And let's see, got anything positive here? 43% shooting from the 3 line. So hopefully that'll kick up. He's averaging 7.7 attempts from the 3 line in the losing skid. and he's making about 3. So that's good. Hopefully that'll turn into another reliable 3-point shot. So there's that. You're getting some offensive production from Devin. And by the way, yes, Spurs fans, we know that within the last 3 games, his plus minus is a horrible minus 21.7. But again, it's not just him. The team collectively is just not firing on all cylinders right now. But if you're looking for a bright spot, you're looking for a complementary piece to Wemby, right now, Devin seems to be that guy. Matt, I'm not the only one who sees this. Manu Ginobili again weighed in on something positive about Devin in the kind of the down slump right now for the Spurs, is that he's just back, that he's feeling comfortable. How important is that for Devin moving forward? I think he spoke about that a couple of times, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's honestly the most important thing for him because, injuries have kind of derailed some of his earlier seasons that maybe the Spurs had hoped he would get to this level by then. And so for a guy like him who knows he can score, who knows he's a versatile defender, for him, it's not about having the confidence. He has that confidence. It's about being available. And, obviously that kind of takes a toll on your mental if you're always having to miss games and you're watching your teammates on the sidelines. I think he's definitely been hit hard by that kind of thing. And so for him to be healthy, to feel comfortable, and to be back, I guess, like Manu Ginobili said, that's huge for him. Because he has the confidence, he has the skill set. He just, he's kind of been riddled with injuries. And so for him to have a healthy season is honestly as important as it gets for somebody like him.
Yeah, absolutely. And Matt, I want to get your take on this. What I'm about to say, as far as a positive is, in a way, I'm kind of glad they're getting kind of thumped of late, because there's no better way for them to get better than to experience the lows. And right now it is a low. Again, going back to the Manu Ginobili chat that he had with San Antonio Sports Star, they asked him, okay, so what can you do? What can you do? What advice can you give to this team to snap them out of their funk? And he flat out said, he goes, there's nothing anybody can do. There's nothing. He goes, the only thing that's going to teach them is going through it. He said, it is what it is. He goes, they're going to make mistakes, and we're seeing it. We talked about the mistakes in the last 2 episodes of the Locked On Spurs, because they're just going to go through it. Interestingly enough, though, Matt, Manu Ginobili, now we know he played with some powerhouse teams when he was playing with San Antonio. But he even said himself, he goes, what this team is going through right now, he said he went through that with those powerhouse teams before they became powerhouse teams. He just said they're just going to have to go roll with it. He does admit that it's horrible to watch right now. He goes, but they got to experience it. So, yes, it sucks that they're getting clubbed over the head in the second halves of late. But at the same time, I'm glad, because I hope that's just teaching them lessons over and over again. Play complete games. Play 48 minutes. Commitment to defense. Do what you do to start the game in that first period. In the last 3 games, they continue doing that. So, Matt, it does suck, but hey, lessons learned, right?
Absolutely. And for a team like this, as young as it is, last season, it seemed to be only, lows and continuous beatdowns. And, they only got to 22 wins on the season, where a lot of people had high expectations for them. Now, they're not really, fazed by that kind of thing, by outside noise. But, for them to come in this year and already be 3 wins away from matching their win total last season, and still, All-Star break hasn't quite happened yet. They're probably going to be a few games over that by the time All-Star break hits, which is a big thing for them. So it's good that they found their success, and they've been able to build on the mistakes from last season, but also prove that they're not bulletproof yet, and they still have a ways to go. And I think that's what this slump is showing them, especially when it comes to fast-paced teams. Like the Celtics, who are on top of the East, and the Grizzlies and the Warriors, just teams that play fast, they're going to run into them a lot, and they're going to have to go through them eventually if they want to be contenders in the Western Conference. So I think getting these kind of lessons out now is going to be a lot better than, pretending that you're invincible and just trying to say, oh, we're all good. There's no issues here.
Yeah, hey, look, they're paying their dues right now. It's going to pay off soon. Hopefully sooner than later, but every team goes through this, and they're going through it right now. Again, what do we say always on Locked On Spurs? They're still in a rebuild. They're still learning. They're still trying to figure things out. The roster is going to change. I wouldn't be surprised that next season this roster is looking completely different. That's going to happen. But this is just part of the process, as Manu Ginobili mentioned, and we've been mentioning here on Locked On Spurs. Matt, any other positive signs that you're seeing despite the Spurs slumping of late?
I think it's just an attitude. I think that they're I really like that they've kind of harped on the fact that they're not using the young team excuse anymore. There's a couple times where they've even said something and it's like, well, but I don't mean that to say that we're young and that's an excuse. And they've really clarified the fact that they're trying to move away from that narrative, because all last season at the beginning of this year was definitely anything bad that happened. Oh, they're a young team. Just blame it on that. So I think them actively trying to move away from that narrative and recognizing that, no, we're not. Yes, we're young, but that doesn't matter. Like, we're making these mistakes and we're capable of fixing them. We're not, there's no ceiling on us just because we're young. And so I like to see that. And I think that them being continuously, just the fact that they continue to reiterate that is a big positive. And I think it shows a lot about their character and the culture that, Mitch Johnson has upheld, that Popovich built.
Yeah, exactly. Now, hopefully the Spurs can right the ship against Indiana out in France in a couple days. But nevertheless, yeah, we get it. Losing, that's not good. And, you're probably looking at Matt and myself right now saying, what are you talking about positives? The only thing is bad. It's just they're bad right now. They're terrible. But again, if you want signs of improvement from individual to team, they are there in the last few games, despite the Spurs struggling of late. But hey, we're done talking about this topic. We want to hear from you. Were there any other positive signs, silver linings that you see right now that maybe we didn't catch? You can let Matt know on X at MattGZMAN. You can let me know by going to Locked On Spurs YouTube page, subscribing, and also subscribing to the Locked On Spurs newsletter. Leave your comments on the Locked On Spurs YouTube page. We usually have shows where we react to them, so you guys are doing a good job. Keep them coming. Yeah, we're going to continue our chat about the silver and black, catch up with some Spurs news and notes. What's going on with Castle? Some fun things going on with Castle. And could Pop be back? Yeah, we're going to talk about that in just a few seconds.
Hey, this is Chris Sabat, and you're listening to Locked On Spurs with Jeff Garcia.
We're back right here on Locked On Spurs with Matt Guzman. He's with Spurs on Sports Illustrated. Follow him on X at MattGZMAN. Make sure to do that right now. Matt, it's been a while since we had some Spurs news and notes to talk about. We got a couple good ones right now. Let's start off with kind of a fun, exciting one, is that it has been reported that Stephon Castle has been invited to the NBA All-Star Dunk Contest and has accepted. If he does it, he will become the first Spur in franchise history to win that award. No Spur has ever won it. We don't know the field yet. I think Basilis out of Chicago, like the only one come out last day. Yeah. That's it. But as far as the rest of the field, we don't know yet. But first of all, fun. 2, I hope he wins it. And 3, I'm like, okay, just take it easy, Castle. Don't do anything crazy where you fall down and get limp. But nevertheless, Matt, I think he has a strong shot. He's a power dunker.
Absolutely. And he's shown that quite a few times in the last few games. It's definitely exciting. It gets Ross Bank Center pretty energized anytime he does something like that. I'm curious, because all season, obviously, the storyline with him has been he's so reserved and kind of quiet, laid back, very observant, and he's taking in everything, and he's proving it. He lets his game speak for itself. He doesn't really, he's very thoughtful with his responses. He's not this arrogant. He's not very flashy. Yeah. So to see him be in something like a dunk contest where the entire point is to be flashy, I'm curious as to what that might look like, and hopefully he can show us a few things that we didn't even know he was capable of.
See, that ambulance in the background right now, that's actually the ambulance getting ready to pick up the pieces of the destruction that Cass is going to do to the rim right there. So all hands are decked.
They're already ready.
They're already ready. But yeah, I think he has a good shot. First of all, I think his size, he's kind of compact. We mentioned he's a power dunker. He definitely get up, and I think that air that he can get will do well in the judges' eyes. He's fearless. Whether it be a one-hand dunk or even a two-handed dunk, it's with power, and judges love power dunkers. So he can get up. He's explosive. He's a power dunker. He has a good shot to take home that trophy. First time in Spurs history. Hopefully it can happen.
That'd be cool.
Never got in code. Never got. Sean Elliott was invited years ago, and he was ahead of the times, though, because nowadays props is like a thing now. Everybody brings a prop. He was going to be one of the first ones to bring a prop into the NBA All-Star Dunk Contest, but the NBA at that time told him, no, you can't bring a live freaking snake to a dunk contest. But Sean Elliott, you were ahead of the time, man, with the props. But, man, that would have been a sight to see. The snake dunk, I think they would have named it there. And it was playing in San Antonio, too, if he had committed to it. So it would have been fan favorite, crowd favorite, when the last time the Spurs or San Antonio hosted an All-Star game back in the 90s. In other Spurs news, there's a report out of France that R.C. Buford told French media that Popovich will be back coaching on the sidelines some point this season. Now, the Spurs are already at their midway point of the season. They got the road trip coming up. I don't know if the Spurs would feel comfortable or Pop will feel comfortable joining the Spurs on that hellacious road trip. But nevertheless, it is what it is. R.C. Buford saying that Pop will be back. Your thoughts, Matt? It's good or bad?
I think that's a good thing.
Yeah.
Mitch Johnson has done a great job. He's proven that
Mm-hmm.
if nobody else, there's somebody within the building that is capable of taking on that role, should he need to. And I think he's done a great job. I think he's upheld that culture. I think I mentioned that earlier that Popovich built. The Spurs definitely love having him around, and the players love being under him. And so he's done a great job. At the end of the day, this is still Popovich's team, until he retires and they have to find somebody else. So I think it's always going to be great to kind of get him back on the sideline, because the things that he's able to do as far as development goes. I'm sure he's been in constant contact with Mitch and probably the players as much as he can be. But there's nothing that can really replace him being there on the sideline, and also for the fans just to see him back and kind of make sure that he's okay after everything that happened. And it's kind of been a lot in the air as far as his health, and so if he were able to make a return this season, I think that'd be great.
Yeah, exactly. It's just a timing thing. As the road trip, he did suffer a stroke. I know they said mild, but I don't know he would feel comfortable, or doctors feel comfortable him traveling constantly with that. So maybe after the road trip, you could definitely see that happening. According to a report out of France, Popovich is doing better in his recovery from suffering the mild stroke. So another good sign that he could be back on his way. For me, I just see it as this. Yes, I do agree with you. Having him come back, everybody seeing he's okay, going out the way he should go out on the sidelines. If he does decide to call it an end of a career after this season, I think that's a fitting and proper way to do it. But kind of circling back to what we talked about in the first segment about looking for, first and second segment about looking for positives. You talk about Mitch Johnson too. I'm glad you brought him up. Yes, I know he's facing his fair share of criticism from Spurs fans, but hey, he's getting experience right now, and that's a positive.
Absolutely.
And if Pop decides to call it quits, and if they do just say, hey, Mitch, we're going to just remove the interim label, you're it, then at least he got himself some experience this season, learning what it is to be a head coach in the NBA. Refs getting used to him getting used to refs, interacting as a head coach. So that's another positive there. But circling back to Pop returning, yeah, I don't know if he does return, if the report is accurate. I'm not doubting it, but if he does come back, then yeah, just how much longer? Because he will be pushing 77, I think. 76, 77.
I believe so.
Yeah, if he comes back, if he stays on board for next season. So I don't know if that's pushing it a bit. There are the health concerns now. He is getting older. We all are, but he's up in age. So yeah, that's the only thing I would be reserved about is, can he physically sustain an entire NBA season at his age and now what he had suffered now. But I think the Frost Center will be clapping and standing, all that good stuff. Like to be a home game, everybody cheering and everything. It'd be great for Popovich. So yeah, I think ultimately, if he wants to go out on the sidelines, not the way he's been sidelined right now, I think that's a good way for him to do it, just to come back one last hurrah if he decides to return. We don't know ever he'll come back and not retire at all. Matt doesn't know anything. We don't know anything. Spurs are tight-lipped about that, so just keep that in mind. Matt, though, the last Spurs news bit I want to bring up is I heard that when I was looking at just a recent report that a new competitor in the NBA dunk contest will be Matt Guzman. So, Matt, are you going to give Castle some run?
Yeah, you know what? I've been working on my dunks. After we're done with the interviews and press conferences, I'll head to the court and I'll try my hand at it. I've been able to do a 360 behind the back windmill a couple times now. So you can let's always see my.
Matt, I've seen the court after hours after a game, and that court rim was way down to the bottom. So I can see why you're doing 360 dunks right now, because they lower that court, the rim all.
Maybe I could just convince them to lower it when it's my turn in San Francisco, and we'll be okay.
Or just tell them to put up a Nerf hoop for you, and then everybody's gonna be rocking it.
Yeah, that's how I'm gonna compete.
Yeah. He is Matt Guzman with Spurs on Sports Illustrated. Follow him on X at MattGZMAN. He always tells you what he's working on. What are you working on, Matt?
Well, a couple things. One of the things I wanted to hit was a feature on Victor Wembanyama being in Paris and being back. I got a chance to speak with somebody from the league office about, him being in Paris in general from NBA experiences. So if I can run it back and kind of talk to him a couple more times, I think that'd be great. But in about a month's time as well, I'll be back in Austin for the 2 Austin games. So I'm looking forward to those and just kind of making it out and seeing that week in my hometown. So I think it's going to be great.
Hey, by the way, Austin Spurs, quick little, well, here's a little extra Spurs news bit for you. Their G League team, the Austin Spurs, you see, they just destroyed that. I forgot the other G League team is like 50 plus.
For the Valley Suns?
Yeah, they just wrecked them.
Yeah, no, I was there. I was there that night, and I asked the PR girl, Lauren, I said, do you think they were going for 150? And she goes, I don't know. I hope so. And it ended up being a franchise record since for years and years that they've gotten that high. So they had a great offensive explosion, and I guess you can roll that in with the stuff I'm working on, because I got to talk to coach and a couple players after that game about, the offensive explosion and kind of where that came from. So
I know you texted me, you're like, are you seeing the score right now? And then when I saw it, I was like, oh my God, man, what is going on in Austin, the Cedar Park Arena right now? I was like, holy smoke, they just annihilated them. I think they had a above 500 record, right? I think 6-4.
Yeah, they're doing well. I think they're number 5 in the Western Conference in the Jew League right now. So they're doing well.
Look at that, everybody. A little bonus update on your Austin Spurs, the developmental team for your silver and black. Again, Matt, we thank you for making time out and come on Locked On Spurs to discuss all things silver and black. We'll be back tomorrow. Continue our chat about the Spurs as the Spurs season continues. They're in Paris right now. We'll see what comes out of that. A lot of news is coming out of Paris right now, from brand new courts that Victor and the Spurs helped fund. R.C. Buford saying that, yeah, he will love to come back, but it's out of our hands. The NBA. I mean, there's just so much stuff coming out of France. So keep your eye on Matt's X account and my X account. You can see it on your screen right now at Jeff G Spurs Zone. And subscribe to Locked On Spurs wherever you get your favorite podcast, iTunes, Spotify, Kids My Plus app. Locked On Spurs newsletter. It's in the description below. The link that is. Click on that. Completely free. Get in your inbox every single day. So for Matt Guzman, I am Jeff Garcia. We're going to put a lock on this episode of Locked On Spurs.